Hello, Balance Program participants, and welcome to your virtual Balance Program. I hope that everyone was able to access this video okay, and I hope that you're able to hear me. So let's get started. So I'm just going to do a couple of different exercises that you guys can maybe watch the video and then practice at home. The only thing that you'll need for this first part is one of your balance sticks. So this lesson is going to be about bending and lifting and reaching, and just kind of tying in some functional ways to do that, where it'll be healthy for your back and your joints, and it'll help you work on your balance in a dynamic way. A lot of people tend to lose their balance when they're reaching up, maybe going up into a high shelf in a cabinet, and people may also lose their balance when they're bending down to pick something up. So with this first part of the lesson, I'm going to take my balance stick and I'm going to put it on my back. So the stick is touching both my tailbone and the top of my head. It's also touching my upper back. And then practicing just bending and standing back up. So the stick is staying in contact with the back of my head and my tailbone. In order to do that, I'm hip hinging. So the movement is coming from my hips. So if the stick wasn't there, a lot of people might bend down by curling their back like this, which isn't really so great on your back over time, especially if you're going to be lifting up something that weighs a little bit more. So continue practicing hip hinging. And if you'll see my knees, there's a couple different ways you can hip hinge. So you can either hip hinge with relatively straight knees, like a very slight bend, and you could potentially grab something from the floor like that. Or if you need to get even closer to the floor, going into more of a squat. So here, my back is still staying relatively straight. The stick is still in contact with my tailbone and the back of my head, but I'm able to get down to the floor a little bit lower. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but throughout this lesson, it would be smart to do this pretty close to something you can grab onto, like the kitchen counter or the back of a sofa or a chair. I'm not going to do that because it would obscure the video, but do what you need to do to be safe. So practice the hip hinging a few more times, maybe pause this video, practice the two different kinds of hip hinging. So the straight knee and then the squat. And after you pause it, we're going to work on something else. So for this next part, we're going to take what we just learned about hip hinging and tie it into a more of a functional movement pattern where you won't be using your stick. So you'll go ahead and put your stick down. And this next movement, you'll start with your feet relatively wide, and we're going to pretend like there's a big ball of energy on the ground. So it's about the size of a beach ball. It's made of light, and you're going to be picking it up. So you're going to hip hinge down, whichever way, either with the bent knees or the straight knees. And you're going to pick up the ball of energy and reach it all the way up towards the sky. So once again, I'm picking up that ball of energy and reaching it all the way up and unleashing it into the sky, into the universe above me, and then doing it again. Reaching up, up, and letting it go. Reaching it up, transferring this energy from the ground into the sky above you. Reach, and your head, your eyes will continue to look at the ball of energy. So now I'm looking down, looking at the ball of energy, and then my head is going back. I'm looking up, and then and let it go. So reach up and let it go. So this move can be modified by making the ball of energy start a little higher up. So if you can't reach all the way to the ground, maybe you just bend down a little bit and then let it go a little earlier. This move can be made more challenging by getting even closer to the ground and by reaching up even higher and standing on your tippy toes when you let it down. And try to make it nice and fluid, eventually making your arms come into a big circle like that. So practice that for a few more minutes. Pause the video if you'd like. And we're going to do one more thing once you come back. So taking that same kind of movement, but making it more of a side to side. So this time I'm going to be reaching up, all the way up to the right corner of the room, and then back down. So we're going to make it kind of a flow, still bringing a ball of energy, of light across our body as it goes down to the center. I'm bending my knees, and then I'm rotating up to this side. And I'm going to let the camera go onto my feet so you can see what's happening there. So I'm going up to the right, I'm going up on my left tippy toes, and then down, my feet pivot to face the left, and I'm going up on these tippy toes, my feet pivot. So this movement is kind of like, similar kind of movement as if you were going to be putting something on the top shelf, only this time it's over to the side. So you're creating length through your body, moving in a diagonal kind of rhythm, making it nice and fluid, like that. And same with the other move. This one can be modified by making smaller movements. So maybe you start with just letting your arms swing from side to side, working on pivoting that foot, moving with your breath. I like to inhale as my arms go up, and exhale as my arms go down. And it can be made more challenging by making the movements bigger, so a deeper squat in the middle, and then really getting up on that tippy toe as you reach up to the sky, letting that ball of energy go up into the universe. So practice that. Practice those three moves. So practice the hip hinging, and practice the squatting, and practice the diagonal reaching. And that will help your strength and your balance. And please let me know if you have any questions about any of those movements. Thank you.